Hi everyone, welcome to our channel, Rebecca, Stu, and the crew. I'm Rebecca, and today we have some new DIY Christmas videos for you guys. So let's go over the supplies for the first project that we're going to be making today. And as we add some supplies for each additional project, I'll go over those as well. We're going to use these little signs from Dollar Tree. We'll need a screwdriver, also a pencil, a Sharpie, a dotting tool, and some paint markers or brown paint. We're also going to be using some paint brushes, these little bows from Dollar Tree. And then we'll need some glitter. I'm also going to be using some Mod Podge and a paintbrush or sponge brush, one of these little mini scrapers, and then I will be using a Cricut. If you don't have a Cricut, that's okay. We're also going to be using this vinyl from Dollar Tree. If you don't have a Cricut, you can use the paint markers from Dollar Tree. You could also use these little stickers that they sell all year round. And you could also use some paint. So it's really lots of different options you can do for the lettering. We'll need, of course, a screwdriver and then the hot glue and some scissors. So let's get crafty. So the very first thing I'm going to do is take one of these signs from Dollar Tree. I'm actually going to make all three. So we'll add the supplies as we go along for each additional project. But what we're going to do is just remove the screws that hold these little knobs on the front. There's three altogether. There is a little bit of glue on the front of them, so you'll want to peel that off there that was holding them onto the sign along with the screws that are in the back. And then I'm going to take this little mini scraper and remove the paper off of the front. So this is just going to help give us a smoother coat of paint on the front. You could just paint right over the paper if you like. Sometimes it wrinkles if it gets too wet. So I personally like to remove the paper. I just remove the top layer first with the little scrapers from Dollar Tree. Just be careful you don't cut yourself. And then take a damp paper towel, rub it over top of the paper that's left behind, and then just let it sit for like a minute. And then you can rub the paper off and you can get all of this paper off of this sign quite easily. There's no additional scraping needed. Just keep rubbing and lightly wetting the backing, and as you can see, as I just keep rubbing it with the damp cloth, the paper continues to come off, and eventually I end up with no paper and no glue residue left at all on the little sign here, which is perfect for repainting or adding any type of like scrapbook paper or anything like that that you choose. I personally just like to have it like this to paint, and it's going to give us a really nice smooth finish with the paint. So now we'll let that dry just for a few minutes, and of course I've done all three signs exactly like I just did with removing the paper, and now we're going to paint all three of them white. And I am just using the regular like acrylic paint from Dollar Tree. I did end up doing 2 coats of paint since it's not as thick as the chalk paint. You can see through it just a little bit. And then we'll set those aside to dry. So now, again, I'm going to use the Cricut, but if you don't have a Cricut and some Dollar Tree vinyl, you can use the Crafter Square paint markers. They're out right now. They always have them out for the holidays, or some of these letter stickers, and spell out whatever you like to put on your sign. So I'm choosing to use the words, "The stockings were hung." So this is going to be like a little stocking hanger for those who don't have like a fireplace or somewhere to hang their stockings in their house. This would be a nice little hanger to be able to hang them up on. So we're just going to put the lettering on here in a nice straight line right at the top. And then we're going to go ahead and decorate the rest of our sign. So again, you could just write these letters on there. You don't have to have a Cricut. I just use it because I do have one. So now I'm taking an oval shape. This is actually just like an Easter egg they had out over around Easter time. I'm using it as a template to draw around the little places where the knobs are going to go. And then I paint a really light brown, I think it was called khaki, with a small paintbrush. And this is going to be the head. We're actually making some reindeer. So as you could see, I tried to center the hole where the knob for the hooks goes. That way it'll be right in the middle. And this is going to be the nose of the reindeer. So I'm going to paint all of these red with just some acrylic paint. And I do go all the way to the bottom here. And I'll paint all three of them exactly the same color. And then once they dry, I cover them with some Mod Podge. And then we'll sprinkle them with the red glitter. I did end up putting another layer of Mod Podge over top of the glitter so that it would stay on and it wouldn't be like flaking off over time. So there's 2 coats of Mod Podge on there, one before the glitter and one after. And then we'll set these aside to dry. It took about an hour. So while that's drying, I'm taking the brown paint marker and I'm going to draw the antlers to the reindeer. So they basically look like a twig or a stick that you would find on a tree. That's basically the kind of shape that I'm going for and trying to make them look like an antler as best I can. So they're really not hard to draw. So just think of, like I said, like the branches of a tree. It's pretty much what they look like. And then just fill in with the dark brown paint. If you don't have a paint marker, you can just use regular paint. And a paintbrush, you could even use a Sharpie here. That would work as well. So we'll do the last bit of antlers here on our 3rd reindeer. And then I put all the noses back on now that they're dry. And then taking a small detail brush or another paint marker, we're just going to paint the mouth and then we'll paint the eyes. So the eyes, we're just doing 2 ovals that are touching, and then we'll fill in the eyes a little bit with some dark paint. And then I just left the brown at the top to kind of look like an eyelid. And then I added a few little eyelashes on the sides. And I'll do this for all 3 of the reindeer. And then once the black paint was dry, I went in with a white paint marker and did 2 little pupils on the eyes for each reindeer. Then take your brown marker or some brown paint again, and you can make a little tuft of hair right on the top of his head, kind of sticking up a little bit. And if you like, you can trace all the way around the reindeer's head just to give a nice outline. Now I'm taking my dotting tool and some different colors of paint like red, yellow, green, and blue, and I'm just doing these little oval shaped lights that are hanging from the antlers. Then once I have all of the lights on, I take a little bit of black paint and I do a squiggly like square at the top to make it look like the top of a light bulb. Then I do the same thing around the whole entire border of the sign here, and then I go in with a green paint marker or a green Sharpie and I connect all of the lights to make it look like it is the cord. Make sure when you're drawing your line that you're attaching the line to the black square that you drew. I have my lights kind of going in all different directions, which helps it to kind of flow in a nice zigzag pattern. Then I'm taking these little bows from Dollar Tree that are already pre-made. I'm adding some glue to the back, and then I add 1 bow to the base of each reindeer to make it look like he's got a little bow around his neck. I just kind of alternate those. I did 2 green and 1 red bow. And that is it. That's our first sign all done. So easy, so fun. I love how these look. And then the little noses there that look like Rudolph. And of course, you can hang your stockings from these. So I have 3 full-size stockings hanging from this sign. And now for our second project, again, we're going to do the first sign. We're going to peel off the paper. We're going to paint it white. The additional supplies we'll need will be these clay ornaments from Dollar Tree. So we're going to remove that paper and the hooks. We're going to paint it, then dry it, and just like we did with the first shelf. So once that was done, I took the little knobs. For this one, I chose to paint them Christmas green. And we'll do all 3 of them this same color. And these don't take long to dry since you just need the 1 coat of paint. And then I'm taking that same green paint and I'm just going to do this little squiggly dotted line around the whole border of the sign. If the paint doesn't want to slide as easily as it looks like it is here, you can add a little tiny drop of water to it to help get this nice smooth line as you do your border around the sign. Okay, so now we're going to take those clay ornaments from Dollar Tree and remove the hook. And then we're going to glue down the ornaments once we replace the knobs on the sign. So remove the hooks from the top. We put the knobs back in place and we just glue those candy canes down. And then I printed out these stickers. You can paint this on, you can draw it on, you can use a Cricut. They just say old-fashioned hand-rolled candy canes, 25 cents each. And I'll leave a link to the Google Docs down below so you guys could print this out yourself if you would like to. As you can see, mine were just stickers. I printed them out on a regular printer using sticker paper, and then you can hang all your stockings on this one as well. Now for the third sign, we're going to prepare it the same way. Remove the sticker paper on top, remove the white paper underneath and let it dry. We're going to need some twine, some yarn, also a paper towel holder. We'll need some felt or some foam, a pom-pom maker, and then we'll need a little bead. Also some stickers of your choice. So let's get crafty. So for the third one, again, prepare your sign the same way. We're going to be making this sign here. So we're going to first take the paper towel roll. We made these a few weeks back in one of the videos. So you're just going to cut about an inch wide band here off of the paper towel roll. And then take your red yarn and you're going to wrap it around a 5x7 frame about 20 times, and this will give us enough strands to wrap around the paper towel tube to create our hat for the gnome. So as you can see, I just kind of do a lot because I'm going to make two gnomes here, so I do a lot of strands around the 5x7 piece of board here, and then you just want to cut them off of the board, and then you want to fold your yarn in half, loop it around the paper towel holder, and then just slide the knot down. And you'll keep doing this until you completely fill in the paper towel tube all the way around. And you want to keep sliding the yarn close to the one you just did. You want them pretty tight so that when you complete the hat, you don't have any gaps or spaces in between the hat pieces, so you know everything's covered up, because we're going to actually stuff the hat a little bit and we want to not be able to see what we stuff it with. So I just keep working in the same manner all the way around here, and of course we're making two of these to put on our sign. So we've got all of the yarn on the hat. Now we flip it inside out. We just tuck all those pieces down inside of the hat, and then you want to straighten them out as best you can. Take your time making them nice and neat, and then take another piece of yarn and you're going to tie it around the top, leaving a little bit of the strands sticking out from the top portion there, and we'll trim those off. Just tie a knot. Now you've got your hat, and again you can just trim up the little pom-pom on the top, and here's our hat. And I just took a regular tissue. You can take some foam or stuffing or tissue paper and just stuff the hat. And that'll just help it to stand up. Just fix your little strands there to make sure you don't see any of the stuffing underneath. And now we're going to take the pom-pom maker and we're going to make a pom-pom for the bottom portion of the gnome. So this is going to be basically like his beard. So these Dollar Tree pom-pom makers are really nice. I'm using the blue one, which is one of the smaller ones. And we're just going to wrap this yarn all the way around this half circle until we completely fill in that space in the middle so that it's nice and flat. So you want to really fill it in. Go ahead and pull the yarn kind of tight and just keep working until you have it completely filled in. Once it's filled in, you'll just close this by folding it forward, and then you'll open up the other side and you'll fill it up with the yarn exactly like we're doing with this side. So as you can see, I folded it up. I open the other side, I fill it in with the yarn, and now we're just going to use that little space in the middle to cut between the yarn. Now we haven't tied this off yet, so don't open it. Take another piece of yarn and you're going to put it right up through that center, and you're going to tie nice and tight, make a double knot, wrap it around a few times if you like. You want a really nice secure tie before you open this up. And then you're just going to open both sides. I had one little strand I missed when I was cutting it, so I had to fix that there. You just want to open both sides up and then pull it apart. and you've got your pom-pom. Now it's not perfect. You want to basically give it a haircut. You want to straighten up all these little strands and try to make them as close to the same length as possible and make your pom-pom nice and round. And that is going to be glued to the hat. So we just put some glue right around the rim of the hat. And then add your pom-pom. And now we'll take that little wooden bead and we'll make a nose. Now we're going to decorate the hat. I made a very simple twine bow. We're just going to put that on the hat. And then I add a little tiny bit of greenery and a button right in the middle. I do the same for both gnomes. Now I make this little template and I'm basically just making feet. I'm using some glitter foam. You can use felt as well. Either one will do. So we'll just cut that out with our scissors and then we'll add a little bit of hot glue and then glue it to the bottom of our gnome. And that way he can stand up. So these can be ornaments, which is what I initially made them for. But I thought they would be really cute on this sign. So I decided to go ahead and cut the hanger off and use them on this decoration. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut that strand off there. And we are going to glue these right to the sign. So as you can see, I've already painted the sign and the knobs and let them dry. And then we're going to take the gnomes that we made and we'll glue them right to the middle of the knobs here on both sides. And we're just using hot glue to attach them. Then we have these wooden glitter stickers from the Dollar Tree. We're going to just glue those above each knob. These are already, they come pre-glittered. They come with like some natural color looking wooden stickers, and some of them have glitter on a pack, and they sell these each year at the Dollar Tree, and they do have them out this year as well. Then I'm going to take a black Sharpie and do the same little squiggly dotted line like we did with the green marker on the last sign, and do this little border here. And this is our third sign. I decided to add a few snowflake stickers. I just thought it looked a little plain to me, so I do whole stickers, a few spots around, and then I cut some of them in half and have them right on the edge of the sign so it looks like they're kind of floating off of the edge. It's really a personal choice how much you want to decorate it, how much you want to dress it up or dress it down. I felt like it needed a little bit more, which is why I decided to go ahead and add the snowflakes. But again, it's just personal preference. So here is our third sign. We can hang some stockings from it. And now our fourth project. So this one's going to be a little bit different. We're going to take scissors, a paintbrush, a phone lens. This is like a wide angle smartphone lens, and a sign from Dollar Tree. Again, you could use a Cricut if you have one. If you don't, you could use these little stickers from Dollar Tree, or you could paint on the lettering. You could use a paint marker. It's really up to you. We'll need some paint and then some of the clay ornaments. We're also going to use a few of those tower building blocks from the tower game. So let's get crafty. So I am not going to remove the paper because I really like the half wood bead look that's around the border of this sign. So we are just going to paint right over top of that white portion of the sign. I did do 2 coats and then let that dry. Then I printed out the word Santa Can with my Cricut in the Dollar Tree vinyl. I used a paper setting and a light grip mat. For those of you who don't like the Dollar Tree vinyl, that's the setting I use that I found works for me. And as you can see, it worked pretty well. And then I typed out the 24-hour monitoring and cut that out. Again, you could use those stickers or some craft markers to write that on your sign. So now we are going to take these clay ornaments. Again, you want to remove those little hooks that are in the top. They just unscrew. They come out quite easily, actually. And then we are going to do a little bit of maintenance work here to the candy cane. It's a little bit too big for the sign where I want to put it. So I'm very lightly using a razor blade to remove the bow. And I just keep working at it until I can get underneath of it. And I want to use the bow again, which is why I don't want to just rip it off. But we need to move where it's at on the candy cane because the candy cane is just a little bit too long and we need to shorten it up here. So just take your time if you're using these ornaments. As you can see, I eventually get the bow off. It comes off quite nice in one piece. So I decide where I want my gnome to be. I add some hot glue. And then I just glue him over on the left-hand side. I did trim up his hat just a little bit. It seemed a little bit too long for me. And then here's the pieces of the candy cane we cut off to make it a little bit shorter. And then we'll just add some hot glue to the candy cane and attach that to the sign on the opposite side. And then take your bow and glue that back on with your hot glue. And now it fits perfectly. Then we want to add our camera for Santa to watch all the little ones. So I'm taking the actual camera lens cover and I'm going to glue that on first. It just helps to make it look a little bit more realistic and it makes it the lens stick up a little bit higher. And then I add the glue to the back of the lens and put that right in the center of the lid or cover. While that's drying, I just take these building blocks and I'm going to glue the first two together, then the second two, and then the last set. So there's 6 in all. And then we're going to take 2 of them and glue them together nice and flat. So we have 4 together. That will be the back. And then we're going to glue this one laying down on its side. So we're basically creating the letter L. Then I figure out where I need it to be. And then I add my hot glue. I don't go all the way to the sides because I don't want to see it behind the sign. As you can see, it doesn't completely lay, completely across the whole entire building block. So you can see a little bit of the back and I didn't want the glue to show through. But you just glue the sign to the back there to help it stand up. And that is our Santa cam. Can travel all over the house. Now for our 5th project, the supplies we're going to need will be one of these signs here with the hooks on it. We'll need some paint brushes, or again, you could use a Cricut. You can use these little letters, some paint. You can use a paint marker. It's really up to you. Whatever you have will work. I'm going to use the Dollar Tree vinyl again in white. So let's get crafty. So all we're going to do is remove the hooks. Again, they're glued down a little bit, so it is going to tear the paper. So it's best just to go ahead and remove the paper because you want a nice smooth finish on your finished project here. So you're going to take that mini scraper we had used earlier, and we're going to remove the paper in the same way. Just remove that top layer and then wet the paper underneath with a damp paper towel or a sponge and keep rubbing at the paper until it comes off. And you can get pretty much all of it off by doing it this way. It's quite easy. It only takes a few minutes, and I think you'll like the finished project better if you remove all the paper. It just has a nice smooth finish when you're done. As you can see, just rubbing on it with a damp paper towel, it comes off quite easily. So now I'm going to go ahead and take some black chalk paint, and I'm just going to do 1 coat of paint over the front of this sign. And then we'll let this dry. It takes about 10 or 15 minutes to completely dry. I waited about a half an hour. And then I cut out this little saying here on my Cricut. It says, "And all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse." And then I cut out this little mouse here. You could draw one. They're not hard to draw. You could do a pretty crude mouse. You could even get a little sample off the internet. And I put the little mouse there in the corner, and then I replaced the hooks. I didn't add any glue to it. I didn't think it really needed it. It seemed like the screws went in nice and tight. So I just left them as is. And this is our third little sign here. And you can add stockings to this one as well. It's really optional. You could even hang it in the house and just hang your car keys from it. I thought that would be cute as well. Now for our sixth project, it's a little bit different. The supplies we're going to need is some thermal laminating pouches and some paint brushes. Also, we're going to use just some regular paint from Dollar Tree. These little bows also from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use this sign from the Dollar Tree I found just a little while back. I'm going to be using a heat press and a Sawgrass printer, which is sublimation. If you don't have a sublimation printer, that's okay. You can actually just print a picture off the internet, cut it out, and you could actually just use Mod Podge to attach the picture to the sign, and it would be pretty similar. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove the hooks off of the back. And there are 2 screws in each one of these hooks. These little hooks here are metal. And we'll set those aside, make sure you don't lose them. Then I took a little piece of sandpaper and I went ahead and just sanded off the dark black lettering here because I wanted to paint the whole thing white. I didn't really find it necessary to completely sand the whole thing down. This sign's a little bit more like a fake wood on the front instead of that particle board. So it's just a tad bit different, which is why I'm using this sandpaper. So I'm just going to go ahead and sand off the black lettering as best I can. And then I go over the front of it with the white paint. And I did end up doing 2 coats of white paint on the front. I do the edges as well. And then we'll let this dry before we do anything else. So again, I just got a sublimation printer. So I wanted to use it in one of the crafts, but you can just print a picture out on the internet and cut it out and use it like Mod Podge on the front of this sign if it's got the white background. But we're going to take a thermal laminating pouch, tear it in half, and then cut it down to size. And then we will lay this under our heat press with the laminating pouch on top and some parchment paper. And then once it has adhered to the front of our sign, we're going to trim the edges with some scissors. I actually went in with the razor blade and cut down the edges there. And I heated this for 120 seconds at 350 degrees. And now we're going to take our picture that we printed out. We're going to lay it face down and use some thermal tape to hold this in place. And then we'll put it back under the heat press for another 120 seconds at 350 degrees. And then once that was done and we let it cool off just a bit, we'll remove the paper. And we've got our design left behind on our sign. And it is Buddy the Elf, and it says Santa's coming. I just thought that was really funny. And that's a really easy picture to find on the internet, and I just used it to print it out. They're all over the internet. Now we're going to go ahead and just replace the hooks. And again, you can add a little bit of glue here if you find it necessary. If the screws don't feel like they're staying in, I felt that they were staying just fine, so I didn't find it necessary. And then we're going to add these little red bows to the top of each hook just to help dress it up a little bit more. And then you can add your twine or yarn or a bow to the top. The hangers are still on the back of the sign. I didn't take those off when I made the whole thing, so I just left those up there at the top. And it had a twine hanger initially, so you can replace it with either the same hanger that you had, or you can add some yarn or ribbon. It's really up to you. So just put all 3 glitter bows on the front. And again, you can hang your car keys from this. You can hang stockings from it if you like. It's really up to you. And here it is with stockings. And there is our gnome sign, our candy cane sign, and then the reindeer. And here's our little mouse sign here and our Santa cam. So those are all of our projects today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. We post Dollar Tree videos on Tuesdays and Fridays and the craft videos every single Thursday. So I hope you guys will check back and look at our other videos that we have up. And here are some other videos from our channel you might also enjoy. Have a great night, everyone.